Podcasting is about to change forever for creators, for brands, for anybody using a podcast to build a business. Now, you might be thinking podcasts are just too saturated, they're only for big creators, or you just missed the window. Wrong. The podcasts who are about to get crushed aren't losing because the market's getting crowded. They're losing because they're still playing by the same old rules. And the good news is that there's massive ways to win that weren't even possible 2 years ago. I know this because I've spent the last 6 years producing Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, growing that channel to over 8 billion views across all platforms. In addition to that, took the Clips channel from 44,000 subscribers to over 1.8 million subscribers and have made Impulsive into a top 5 podcast of all time. And I'm starting to see these trends and patterns that aren't obvious to the average podcaster, but they're massive opportunities for anybody that's paying attention. So in this video, I'm taking you through the biggest shifts that are happening right now. We're covering why your full episode isn't the product anymore, the distribution shift separating winners from everybody else, how AI is creating 2 different types of podcasters, platform changes that are gonna create the whole new gold rush, and my predictions for podcasting in 2026. If you care about growing your podcast at all, you're gonna love this. Let's get into it. Section 1 is the content engine shift. The first major shift is honestly the most important one. And it's something that over 95% of podcasters still don't understand. In the old era of podcasting, long form episodes were the product. All you had to do was upload it to Spotify, upload it to YouTube, and call it a day. Your job was done. The success of the episode was based on if just people stumbled across it, they liked it, and they would continue watching it. Maybe they'd share it with somebody else. But your full episode nowadays isn't the product anymore. It's just the raw material, and your clips are the product. Let me explain. Think about a music track on TikTok. When a song goes viral, nobody's listening to the whole 3 minutes right away. They're just getting 10 or 15 seconds per TikTok. That 15-second clip gets them interested and makes them want to go over to that full-length song. Podcasts work in a very similar way. Your clips are what get you discovered, your clips do your marketing, your clips are the hook that stops the scroll, and your full episodes are what converts viewers to full-time listeners. Now, when I think back to working with Impulsive, the main thing that sticks out was when in 2020, when COVID was happening, there was a big surge on TikTok, and clipping started to become such a massive part of everybody's content. So much so that podcasts that actually started to adapt that short form model saw extreme benefits like us in our podcast audience. I mean, we would post a clip, it went really viral, and then we would find that our audience would go straight over to Spotify and boost us on the charts there. Another place I saw this happening was with the whole surge of live streaming. Right around maybe 2023, late 2023, it started to become every single person and their mother was wanting to be a live streamer. Speed was going off, Aiden was going off, Kai was going off, and the only reason that they got to the point that they was because a massive amount of clippers were behind them. Clipping agencies started to come up. There started to just be a whole revolution of short form clips for episodes and streams that are over 6 hours long sometimes, 24 hours long every once in a while. Now it brings us to an Impulsive example of the Dana White episode. I remember looking at the graph of how our views were trending when we just initially uploaded the episode. And they were trending to probably around 600,000 views. And then multiple of our clips started to go very, very viral. Not only made from us, but also made from some other just random clippers. And then that ended up pushing our curve. So instead of it going like this, it got pushed up just that little bit more. And then it started to tail off. And the views right now on it are around 1.5 million. But I guarantee they were only destined for around 600,000 to 700,000 before multiple clips started popping off. I'm talking, some of these clips were the UFC White House clip, where there was basically an exclusive of Dana White telling exactly how UFC on the White House lawn is gonna work, and he's doing like a physical demonstration. And then it was Logan saying he wanted to buy Donald Trump's hat. That went extremely viral. And then the last one was Dana talking about Jake Paul because they have a feud, and that went viral. The crazy part is we might have gotten 800,000 views just from clips going viral and people going over to that long form episode, which just shows you the power of clipping and how this changed our workflow with Impulsive. I mean, I'll be completely honest, after we saw TikTok and how many things were going viral, we hired a full-time editor to make sure we were posting at least 40 pieces of content across all the platforms per week, okay? And then you want one other final episode that went absolutely bonkers because of the clippers. It was a mix between what I already talked about before in the live streamers and their whole clipping culture, and then it was us, and we had all of the viral clips that we make. They coincided and created a beautifully viral episode that was the Ray episode. This episode probably sits at around like at least over 2 million views, which is really good for us. And the craziest part is, okay, yes, we ended up generating over 2 million views, but the clips themselves went insanely viral. Insanely viral. I'm pretty sure we have one pinned on our Instagram that's at least over 35 million views. Yes, you might not be able to see the direct correlation from Instagram to YouTube or from TikTok straight over to YouTube, but I'm telling you right now, if you look into maybe like YouTube search, that might be able to kind of show you a little bit of all those people coming over. But it's a very powerful tool to take somebody from a clip to the long form episode. So if you make a good enough clip, you could see the power of it going to that long form episode. And the sad part is that I've watched podcasters record hours of content, work really hard on it, and then it gets over 200 views, and that's it. Like, they can't get over that hump. And part of the issue with that is it's just a raw episode. They're not making any clips from it. They're not making actually valuable clips from that to make somebody care about watching the full episode. It doesn't have to be, but every single answer could be a viral clip. Every reaction could be a TikTok. Every story could be a YouTube short. And you can have one recording session that's 40 minutes long and create 20 quality short form pieces of content. Your podcast isn't just one piece of content anymore. It's a content engine that feeds every single platform. And anybody not thinking about that is sure to get left behind. Now, the second shift is all about distribution. In the old era, distribution was simple. You upload to Apple Podcasts, you upload to Spotify, and hoped people would search for a topic and they would find you. But here's what changed everything: short form video. YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. These platforms created something that never existed before for podcasts, a way to get discovered by people who never even knew you. And it doesn't matter if you have 100 subscribers or 10 million, the algorithm is gonna reward content that is really good. This completely flipped the podcasting model. Before, you needed an audience to get views, and now you need views to get an audience. I mean, if we're talking about short form views in general, Impulsive has generated over 6 billion short form views. Ridiculous amount of views. I mean, we're talking within just the last 2 years, over 1 billion TikTok views, over 750 million YouTube Shorts views, and over 730 million Instagram Reel views. And most podcasters think posting clips is enough. But the reality is it's not. You need a system. And you want to know Impulsive system that I would actually recommend you try is making content that is good enough for every single one of the platforms to where you don't have to alter anything. Maybe you got to alter a hook here or there for a different platform, but really don't got to change too much. When we make our 10 to 14 short form clips per week, that's it. Boom, that's the clips that we're gonna make. We don't need to make some specific for Instagram, a different for TikTok, and a different for YouTube Shorts. No, we're posting the exact same on all platforms because we have it down, because we have a viral clip structure down. Now, how you should think about rewiring this is making sure that you're making clips that are good enough for TikTok. And then once that clip is good enough for TikTok, it's good enough for YouTube Shorts and it's good enough for Instagram Reels. So use TikTok as a good gauge on what's working. Now, you want some tips on how to actually improve your edits on TikTok? I mean, I can make a whole video on this in the future. If you want me to do that, let me know. But literally, it would be to keep the pacing up tempo, put some great music behind it, add some captions that maybe have some animation in there, and overall, just make a little bit of quicker cuts. Don't make it so the storyline is completely diced up. Make sure you have a good story at the end of the day that's got a good payoff. But ultimately, if you make something that's good enough for TikTok and it goes viral on TikTok enough, it has the legs to go viral on Instagram and to go viral on YouTube Shorts. And you want to know what the beautiful thing now is YouTube has always had the ability to schedule shorts. So that's perfect. You don't even need to worry about it. You do all of your 10 to 14 clips per week, schedule them out, you're fine. Instagram, I believe, has a scheduler now inside of their platform that's getting better. You could always schedule stuff there if you want to. And then TikTok, it's not maybe at the point to where you can schedule stuff out, but leave stuff as drafts, and then when you need to go into it, boom, you post it, easy, simple. But distribution isn't just about posting, it's about speed. And when something happens like a news event, a timely topic, or a viral moment, the ones who can clip that stuff the fastest end up getting the most attention because the algorithm rewards being fast. So the podcasters who are going to dominate in 2026 are going to be ones that have systems for creating clips extremely fast. They have systems for posting things across multiple platforms consistently. And then they have systems for finding what works and here's the big kicker, doubling down on it. If you don't have all those systems, you're honestly pretty behind. Now let's talk about AI. I need to be honest with you when it comes to AI, because I think AI is going to create a massive divide in podcasting. There are going to be two types of podcasters in the next 2 to 3 years. Type number one, the AI assisted creators. These are people who use AI as a tool to work smarter. AI for audio cleanup, AI for finding viral moments, AI for speeding up research, but using human judgment for storytelling, human editing for pacing, and human creativity for hooks. They basically use AI to do the boring stuff much quicker, ultimately spending more time on the stuff that actually matters. Type 2 are the AI dependent creators. These are people who outsource everything to AI. They throw in the full episode to Autopod, call it a day. They throw the full episode into Opus Clip and just use whatever it spits out. They let AI choose clips without ever even reviewing them. They use AI captions without editing them, and they just don't have that human touch. So here's what's gonna happen. Type 2 creators are gonna get crushed. So let me tell you one of the big issues that I have with AI. I've already gone into previous videos about how they're not the best at picking hooks, structure, story, pacing, just like all of these different things. But one of the main issues that I have with, let's just look at something like Autopod, for example. Autopod, it doesn't understand when it should switch to 2-shot instead of a solo shot. And it's only doing things based off of who's talking. When in reality, you might want to see the reaction of somebody, but you're not able to teach that algorithm that. You even look at something like Opus Clip. It just spits out 20 random clips that it just thinks it's viral. And you have no ability to tell that model, hey, I want clips like this, and I want to make sure that they're like this and they have storytelling like this. Make sure that you're making clips like that. They don't have that ability. So until you're able to actually prompt some of these AI softwares to actually make clips better or make your podcast better, I think you're just going to be stuck in this same loop where it's creating a very robotic edit, which doesn't really get you loyal viewers at the end of the day. Like, people see through that, especially with clips. Something like Autopod, it might be a little bit easier to get away with, but something like Opus Clips, you can tell that from 1,000 miles away that those clips are Opus Clips or any of these other clipping softwares. You need to put a human touch on it, at least right now, and AI software just isn't at that point. And even if somebody can't explain why a clip feels off, they can feel it. The pacing is weird, the cuts are harsh, the hook isn't quite right, and it feels robotic. And if something feels robotic, people scroll away. So the reality is you might get some views from an AI generated clip, but it's not gonna get you followers. And the sad thing is you're not gonna get loyal people to want to come over to your podcast because of it. I want you to even look at some of those fan pages. I'm talking about the ones where they have like steak logos at the bottom. They have to post probably 100 clips to get 20 followers. They're not maximizing it. It's because they're putting in lazy effort. They're probably just throwing it into a clipping software, and then those clippers are spitting something out that like isn't that great. I'm not saying that every single one is like that, but Opus Clip ones, like, not great. And it's like these AI softwares might give you views in the short term, but it's not going to convert to something that's actually meaningful and meaningful followers and meaningful listeners for your podcast. So what do we do at Impulsive? Well, we throw our episode into Opus Clips, see if it has any potential ideas of clips that we might have missed that could go very viral. We use AI to audio cleanup, but we use human judgment for storytelling, human editing for pacing, and human creativity for the hooks. That combination is unstoppable. Now, the biggest opportunities are when platforms change. We're talking about when Instagram introduced Reels. We're talking about TikTok in 2020. We're talking about YouTube when they introduced Shorts. And I think we're about to see another one. Instagram trial Reels. We're talking you're able to test your content to see what works until you push it to your main audience. It's a huge game changer. And the beautiful part about it is if something flops, nobody saw it. No views, doesn't matter, but you're able to see what doesn't work within the algorithm. And then if it is going pretty well, guess what you can do? Push it to your followers. If your followers vibe with it, then it pushes it up even more. But you're able to test multiple different types of content. One of the best ways that I've seen people doing this, that I'm even doing with my content, is using it to test different hooks. So we got the whole story laid out, but yet at the very start, the first 3 seconds, just a different part. Maybe we got a different B-roll at the start, or maybe we have different music throughout the whole clip. But most importantly, we're just changing maybe the first 3 seconds to something slightly different. And guess what? I put it in trial reels and it gets 2,000 views. This is on my personal account. But then this other one ends up getting like 50 15,000 views. That's a big difference at the end of the day. And guess what? Usually what I end up doing is just let it ride within trial reels. And then if it starts to plateau a little bit, I post it into my actual feed and then it gets a second boost like that. So this whole trial reels concept is one of the biggest gold mines right now. Now I want you to remember that those first 12 to 18 months when a new feature goes live, it's magic. The algorithm is hungry to push new content. Almost anything that you post now will perform better than if you were to post it later. And I want you to think that those podcasts that started gaining a big TikTok audience in 2020 are extremely well better off than those podcasts who didn't take advantage of that opportunity. Now, the same thing is gonna happen again. Whether it's a new platform, whether it's a new feature, whatever it is, something is gonna create a gold rush. And the podcasters who already have the systems in place are gonna move extremely fast. They're gonna win big, and the others who are still scrambling are gonna miss out. Another industry trend that I've been able to see with podcasts recently is shorter podcasts, AKA podcast shows. We're talking about something that's maybe like 30 minutes to an hour. And one of the main ones that has been popping up recently, and I believe it went up to like top 3 on Spotify charts, was Subway Takes. This guy basically just sits next to somebody on the subway, sits next to the guests on the subway, asks them if they have a hot take, and then they say it back. And the reason that this works is multiple reasons. First off, it's very unique content. What the hell, like these people are recording in a very unique setting. Okay, people like seeing stuff that's different. Secondly is that people love shorter, a little bit more digestible content. So not everybody has the ability to watch an hour or hour and a half podcast, but they have a little bit more of an ability to watch a 30 to 60 minute podcast show. And then finally, one of the last reasons that they're capitalizing fantastic on, which is what I've already talked about in this video, is capitalizing on short form content and making viral short form content. But here's the kicker. This is one thing that we've done for Impulsive that other clips have maybe done, and I guarantee this is a reason that they end up going viral, is making content around polarizing topics. Guess what happens in almost every single clip that Subway Takes edits? They start every clip basically with the same word. So what's your take? Guess what that's helping with? It's helping with not only brand familiarity, but it's also starting with a bold and possibly controversial topic, but mostly just a polarizing topic. Have somebody pick A or B, and guess what's gonna happen? That person's gonna say his or her take, and then based off that take, that host is gonna respond, and then they're gonna talk it out, duke it out, and then people are gonna actually go in the comments and say their own take. So these are some things that I see that some of these other podcasts that are coming up out of nowhere are implementing and honestly kind of getting ahead. So let me give you my actual predictions on where I think podcasting is going. These are the things that I've seen after 6 years of editing for Impulsive and over 8 billion views across all platforms. One of them is the difference between niche podcasts and talk about everything shows. For this example, let's talk about the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, yes, he's got 3 hours to talk about certain topics, but he tends to bounce around between a few topics. Sometimes he likes to talk about religion here, another time he's talking about sports, and another time he's talking about family. But yet when somebody comes to this podcast, let's say we're in the sports sector, only expecting him to maybe talk about boxing for 5 minutes. But where I see podcasts rising in today's world is creating a whole podcast centered around one specific niche. So instead of Joe Rogan only talking about a topic for 5 minutes, that boxing topic, if there's a podcast out there that only talks about boxing for 1 full hour long and does a full-on deep dive, that's the new wave of podcasting that I'm seeing that's going much more viral. And overall, like, it should excite you and excites me as a fan because we're getting more people that are extremely passionate about one specific topic to go very viral. And then one of the next things that I've been able to see in the future of podcasting is live and interactive content. I Show Speed, Kai Cenat, Aiden Ross, all of those people have been very important parts in pushing the whole live streaming. And people are craving that. And what better way to merge live streaming with already a long form content system in podcasts? So I had somebody actually come to me within my community the other day and say, what do you think about me actually live streaming my podcast on Twitch? I said, first off, you can live stream on Twitch, you can live stream it on YouTube, but yes, you should. If you're not worried about saying something controversial on stream, like, do it. Do it as you should. You should do anything that's gonna make you stand out from the competition. I look at shows like Pat McAfee, he's got his show, his podcast show, he's live streaming on YouTube. I look at Nightcap with Shannon Sharp, both are obviously in the sports sector, but they live stream it. And both of those podcasts get a great push from the YouTube algorithm because they're going live and they're creating such a great bond. And guess what? In both of those situations, those people that are in the comments sections are actually able to talk with other people and like what's going on. And just like the feeling of something when it's live versus when it's just maybe only a long form podcast is vastly different. People love the feeling of live. People love the feeling of connecting with people in the moment, taking questions in the moment. So those are two really big things that I see in the possible future of podcasting. All right, so what do you actually do with all this information? If you just started a podcast, I would recommend building systems now so you're ready when something goes off. I want you to also think about clips before you record, set up distributions across platforms immediately, and also just don't wait until you have an audience to figure it all out. If you already have a podcast, start treating your podcast like a content engine right now. I want you to look at your last 5 podcasts and think, how many clips did I make? How are you distributing them? And then finally, what's your system for actually finding viral moments? If you don't have clear answers, that's your priority. If you're serious about growth, you need to be testing things constantly. Different hooks, different music, different platforms. See what your audience likes. Because what works for Impulsive might not work for you, but you have to test. Every week you wait is a week you're falling behind. The podcasters who are going to dominate in 2026 are building their systems right now. Don't be the person who looks back 2 years later and says they wish they started sooner. You now understand the 5 different shifts in podcasting happening right now. But understanding these shifts is just step 1. Because now you're probably thinking, okay, I get it, but what do I actually do with it? How do I build systems? How do I actually grow? If you're serious about growing your podcast and want direct feedback from me, check out my viral podcast community. It's the first link in the description. And if you want to learn the full step-by-step system that we use at Impulsive to grow the podcast from 0 followers to over 1 million followers, and the clipping system, the posting strategy, the title and thumbnails that drive billions of views, click this video right here. I'll see you in the next one.